We got, Cinco de Mayo weekend with Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia. And then obviously what's really spreading the news today is, reporters are saying that Ryan Garcia tested positive for steroids. What's your thoughts, Coach? Talk to me.
I mean, the test results are what they are, right? I don't, I don't know what other thought. A test to me is like positive or negative, right? Like it's like saying somebody's like you can't be like a little bit pregnant, right? Either you pregnant or you aren't. It's the same way with these test results. So, you know, I guess this is all I'm guessing um, that that they're gonna have to come. Team Garcia is gonna have to come up with an explanation, and then the New York State Athletic Commission they're gonna have to make a determination on these findings. So I try not to I think that now we get into the point in boxing where, I saw the one of the sanctioning bodies with the Conor Ben thing where they tried to they're trying to make a determination over whether he did it on purpose or how much is in the person's system. I think when we start getting into that, it's gonna be too much of a slippery slope because okay, for example, how much something is in somebody's system, just because it's small amounts, it doesn't mean that that a person is innocent. You understand what I'm saying? Because when these people that are giving the fighters the drugs, they microdose them. So you do it in small amounts just in case one of the testing agencies come and test you, just so you can get it out your system in a short period of time. So when I keep hearing, stuff about well, it was only a trace amount. It's supposed to be only a small amount. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to shoot you up with a big amount and then they got to clean your system out. So the average person in the public, they don't realize that it's always going to be small amounts. So I guess the due process has to take place, but positive tests, I'm going to tell you right now, Vada would not have released that information if those tests were not positive, if they were not sure. You know what I mean? Because you're liable. You get sued by saying something that's not true. So that information is accurate. Now, how it got in the system and what happened and all that kind of stuff, that's up for debate. But the test itself is positive. People want to come back and be like, well, no, it isn't positive. The test is positive. How it got in the system, who did the test, the chain of custody and all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff can be questioned later. But the actual test itself, Vada is the only agency that comes back with these findings. It's the only agency that have stopped fights from taking place. So this test, people can argue all they want about did he really do it? Did somebody give him something that they shouldn't have? That's not all the test knows is negative and positive. Now, here's one thing that I've always found curious with this. Every boxer who I've seen, maybe different, has tested positive, they've always come up with a dog ate my homework excuse. Nobody has ever said, you know what, man, I tried to cheat. I'm sorry. Nobody's ever said that. So I'm curious to see what Ryan's excuse will be, because I'm waiting for the day that a fighter says, I didn't know what I was taking, but this guy over here gave me something that he shouldn't have gave me. Because to me, that is a logical thing. These fighters, they don't have college degrees. They don't know anything about sports science. So they take what they're given. But nobody has ever pointed to a person on their team and said, he gave me something that he wasn't supposed to give me. When that happens, I might believe the excuse of, I didn't know what I was taking. But every time somebody pop positive, it's either boar or meat or I'm trying to have a baby. You can't keep telling me that, man. You can't. It's like, come on, you can't keep telling me that part of it. If you say to me, man, I hired this nutritionist, he gave me some stuff and it tested positive, and the nutritionist comes out and be like, you know what? My fault. I made a mistake. I thought this supplement was clean, but it wasn't. Then I probably would be a little bit more inclined to believe it. But the dog ate my homework excuse every time. I can't believe those excuses. I don't even know what Ryan Garcia's excuse is, though. I'm not saying I do because I don't. I just heard this news last night. So I don't know what his excuse is, but we got to have a little bit more.
His excuse is that, Victor Conti, you know what I mean, works heavily. I know that you're Caleb Plant's coach. I know that, he has worked with Snack as well, but he's saying that they're affiliated with each other, and this could be the reason of why this is coming out. His father. I just got off the phone with his father. He's saying they're very, very sure for a fact that he didn't. This didn't happen. But that's his excuse. That's if you're looking for what the fighter is saying, that's what they're saying publicly. That that's what's happening.
So they're saying. So they're saying that they got set up.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Listen, I'm not going to argue that because I don't work for Devin's camp. There's a lot of fighters with Snack, not just Devin Haney. So, if Ryan felt that way, then maybe he shouldn't have agreed to Vada testing, knowing, you know what I mean? Like, as far as I know, Devin tested clean. Some of the best fighters in the world is with Snack. So, in the Victor Conti thing, I'm gonna be honest, that like from my knowledge, he helped athletes cheat 20 years ago in the Olympics from around Marion Jones and those athletes from everything that I know about it. And
got banned from baseball.
Yes, and the Barry Bonds and all that, the Balco scandal, and did his time. And from that point on, he's been trying to make atonement as far as educating boxers and things like that, as far as the cheating. And he's been outspoken, like, I messed up. And now, I'm trying to do the right thing. I've worked next to him. I've been around him. Now, one time is any, shady shit went on. I asked him about his past, and he told me the honest to goodness. He told me, I was trying to be clean. I was involved in track, and I noticed that my athletes couldn't get past a certain point. So for about 2 years, I went to the dark side and I paid my dues. And I was very clear with him, like, yo, I'm a total 100% clean coach. So don't, and it's never been an issue. And it's just been that simple. So I'm not saying that Devin wasn't set up, but he's going to have a hard time convincing the New York State Athletic Commission and, the powers that be, that somebody from Devin's team put drugs in his blood and urine samples. Because when this stuff gets taken, it's taken to a lab by a person in sealed containers. There's protocol in place so nobody can tamper with this stuff. This stuff is signed and sealed by the fighter. How I know, I've had several fighters tested. It's signed and sealed, the different samples right in front of them. And these seals cannot be broken till they get to the labs. If something happens, and I'm not saying that it's 100% proof as far as nothing can happen, but what I am saying is that when you make them kind of accusations, now you got to prove it. Now you have to prove that somebody took your stuff, took your blood or urine samples, put drugs in them, and took them. You understand what I'm saying? That's again, has nothing to do with me. I'm not part of Team Haney. I'm not part of Team Garcia, but that's a lot to prove. You know, that's a heavy accusation, especially coming from a guy who admits that he does drugs and obviously he came in overweight. It's a heavy accusation. And again, I'm not fighting anybody's fight. This is not a court of law. But when you make them kind of accusations, now you got to prove them. You have to prove them now. And it's a great excuse that Devin Haney is a snack fighter and they set him up. It's a great excuse. Let's see what happens. I don't really, I don't have a horse in the race, but this was Ryan's biggest career win. It was his best career performance. And now it's going to become the 3 pounds was one thing. I kind of was like on the fence about the 3 pounds because Devin still has to make better adjustments in the fight, but you can't be 3 pounds over and test positive and expect to get credit for the victory. You can't do both. You know what I mean? That's not fair to boxing, and more importantly, it's not fair to Devin Haney because he was in the ring with somebody that was hitting him that right now looks like was under the influence of P.E.Ds, and he might not ever be the same after that fight. So I see people defending Ryan Garcia, but if it's true, Devin Haney is the victim, not Ryan Garcia.
Okay.
Either way.
Yeah, absolutely.